Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Call Your Mom podcast. If you didn't catch last week's episode, you're going to want to check it out. We talked all about goals. Now that the noise is kind of gone on social media, we want to make sure that you actually create a life you want. So we helped you decide what goals to make, how to make them, and all that fun stuff. And this is part two to that. This is about setting boundaries so you can actually create the life you want to design and protect those goals and start heading that direction. So, with boundaries, I like to call my mom the expert because she has always taught me to protect your peace. She always says that. And, when I was younger, I didn't even really get what that meant or why you need to set boundaries. But now that I'm a little older and I've gone through life a little bit, now I'm like, Mom, you are so right. So, let's dive right in.
I think that one of the things that when I was telling you to protect your peace and your boundaries, I was kind of learning how to do it myself at the time. And I was realizing how important it was. So I would tell you because it was something that I was realizing, wow, I really needed this in my life. And I was starting to be like, I think my kids might need to use this one day. And it's better if they learn it now than later.
But it's true. You're like, hey, you might want to do this now.
Yeah,
We don't always take the advice.
no. Yeah. I think when you're not taught boundaries, when someone hasn't explained that to you, especially like when I was growing up, we were not taught that at all. And so you feel guilty. When you finally do start doing it, there's a lot of guilt that comes with it. And you feel like no one's going to like you. They're not going to love you. You're going to disappoint everybody, although you are disappointing yourself because you're allowing everyone to kind of walk all over you. So, I mean, when you start doing boundaries, it doesn't feel comfortable, but it's so important for you to love yourself so that you can love other people better. I just think it's such an important idea to have in your life.
Awesome. So, why would you say boundaries are important? Like, why do they matter?
Oh man, that's like a whole book. No. um, I think first and foremost for me, boundaries mattered because I was just constantly feeling angry with everyone and I was feeling grumpy. And I think a lot of times what's happening is you're projecting onto other people because you're not creating a line in the sand to say, hey, I need to take care of me. But you're blaming everybody else, saying, you guys are doing this to me when you actually have the power. You have the power to place the line in the sand and say, hey, not today. This is what's going to happen. And so I think boundaries are just very important to protect your peace and to teach you how to love yourself so that you can love others better, but they also teach others how to love you. And so
Mm,
I think it's super important to learn what your boundaries are and to start implementing them so that you can just live a better life.
I love that. That's
Yeah.
actually perfectly said. I know one of the first times where I discovered setting boundaries and, like, wow, I can hear my mom's voice in my head was actually in dating. And I think that's a lot of like a place where a lot of people struggle at first because you just kind of want to feel loved and you're new to, when you first start dating, you're like, you have no idea what you want or what it looks like. And especially throughout your 20s, that really changes, right? You want different things. In your later 20s, you start thinking about like, what do I want in life? How do I want life to look like? I used to joke about 401ks. I would see a guy like, he probably has a 401k and a steady job. And I didn't think about that or even how I just wanted to be treated, like having the door open and things like that. And that really didn't develop until later. And I met Johnny and stuff like that. But I would have to go on bad dates. I would have to have bad boyfriends in order for me to be like, I hate the way that I'm being treated. And so that was my first like real hard look at boundaries, right? I've had other areas in my life. Like I know I've struggled with boundaries around my career, wanting to ride the ladder really fast. I've had boundaries around friends, learning what that looks like, a family. And I think people struggle so much because there's like this love aspect and people pleasing
Mhm.
aspect oh my gosh, I just want this person to accept me, or I just want people around me to accept me.
Mhm.
And you need to take a step back and realize the best way for people to love you is when they know, hey, she's not going to like this, or that's how they actually get to know you, I would say, actually.
Yeah, it's a great way for people to understand what you value and where you stand in life. I think a lot of times we are so afraid to express that to people because we think they're just going to like absolutely hate us and they're just going to be so upset and they're not going to want to be in our lives. They're not going to be our friend. They're not going to love us anymore. And it does the opposite. It helps them understand how to be in your life, and it helps them be able to express their boundaries with you too. I think it actually welcomes a lot of communication, which is really nice, you know?
Oh, I 100% agree. And then you could communicate it in different ways,
Yeah.
but we'll get to that. That's a little later in the episode. So I know in my life, I've had places where I was like stretched too thin. And one area that really stuck out to me in the last couple of years was struggling with just my career in general and wanting to grow and build a business or have an employer that was just too much. And I had to learn that very quickly. Like realized, hey, I actually am getting ill. I am because I'm not setting boundaries. I was physically getting ill where I'd have rashes on my body, I'd feel a lot of anxiety, get panic attacks, and then mentally just doubt myself and who I am and what I'm created to be because I didn't set boundaries with other people. And so I know that is another area where people they don't expect that they need to set boundaries is in their career. But is there a time in your life that you can think of where you were stretched thin?
Yes, as you were talking, I totally was thinking about another area that a lot of people probably can relate to, and I would say the area would be with family. I think a lot of times, especially after you get married, your extended family expects a lot out of you, and they still expect you to kind of show up the way you did when you were single and maybe living with them and had more time when you didn't have children and a husband and different activities and you weren't building your own life. And I think that's probably one of the hardest areas to start setting up boundaries, especially as a young couple, because you don't want to hurt mother-in-law's, heart. You don't want to hurt your mom's heart. You don't want to hurt people's feelings, but you have to start setting boundaries because you're over there building your own life, you, your husband, and your children. You're trying to create your own home, your own life. And if you keep jumping for everybody else, you're not going to be able to do that. You're going to be stretched too thin. There's going to be a lot of tension between the both of you. And that's one area that when I was married, that was really hard for us to do, was especially around the holidays. Oh my gosh, that was so hard. So I think that was an area that I definitely could say I feel like a lot of people can relate to, that I had to create boundaries around.
That's so true. I know me and Johnny have struggled with that because we want to make everyone happy. We want to show up. And then I had certain traditions and he had certain traditions, which is very hard. Once you get married, you're like, okay, like what traditions are we keeping? What traditions are we not? We even have friends who skip it altogether. They go on vacation and that's their new tradition. And because they said, "Forget it, we have too much family on both sides, and they're upset no matter what."
Yeah.
So they're like, "We'll just designated other holidays where they go." And I was like, "I kinda like that." And, we're only in our 2nd year of marriage, and we've really made it work, but however, like, this year, we're even thinking, like, "Do we go on vacation during Thanksgiving?" Because 90% of the year, we're not, able to travel or do anything for ourselves because of baseball. So, like, we were like, okay, that's like the one time of the year we can actually go on vacation where he can relax. He doesn't have to think about baseball. He doesn't need to train. He doesn't need to lift. And he doesn't need all these equipment. And it's the one time a year where I'm like, maybe we do kind of take a vacation. And, but that's like something that we have to think about as a couple together because our life has dramatically changed with the type of career he has. So, not saying that I'm going to do that, but it is something to think about. Now, we've talked about different areas, right? How do I identify like I need to set a boundary? So, we've talked about family, we talked about career, and as you go through life, how do you figure out like what is a boundary and how do I identify like, hey, I need to put a boundary right here?
Yeah. I think personally, the way that I've learned to identify where I need boundaries is if it crosses something that um, doesn't align with my core values. If
Mm.
it's something that doesn't align with my core values, or it's something that is costing me my peace of mind, then I have to recognize that, yes, it's time to put boundaries down. It's time to say no. It's time to say back off or whatever it might be, because it's disturbing my peace. and it is not aligning with my core values and where I want to go in life. And I think
Mm.
that is one of the easiest ways to just identify, yeah, I need boundaries.
Yeah, I guess that was a very clear sand, like, line what is it? Draw a line in the sand for me last year.
Yeah.
I was exhausted, like I said. My career was completely changing. I was unhealthy, and I kind of looked in the mirror and was like, "Whoa, I need to draw a line." And what that looked like was a variety of things. First of all, I needed to start prioritizing myself, right? I needed to get healthy. I needed to continue to walk. I needed to get outside and not sit hours inside an office. Um, that also looked like, growing a team, that also looked like setting goals and then also picturing what a life I wanted to look like. And you helped me walk a lot through that where you said, "Honey, like, what is it that you actually want? Do you wanna build this business and have children and do this? Like, what is it that you want?" And you need to start instead of just living life, start setting up different areas of life and saying, "Hey, no, I can't do this now," or it never. It could be now or never. Um, because you need to set a boundary there. And that was really for my health was a big one for me
Yeah.
where I was like,
Yeah.
whoa, I cannot work before 9 a.m. Like
Yeah.
I'm not going to. Like
Yeah.
I'm drawing the line and saying no, because I
Yeah.
need to go work out. I want to read my Bible or read a book. I want to actually be able to breathe and relax,
Have breakfast.
have breakfast and eat. Like there are all these different things
Mhm.
that I was completely forgetting and not taking care of myself.
Yeah.
Now, if I didn't turn around and set those boundaries though, I would have never been able to grow and meet new people and have new habits and discover new hobbies if I didn't set those boundaries.
Yeah, and you set those boundaries around goals, around things that you wanted in your life. And when you sat down and finally said, "Okay, mom, I'm going to actually listen to you and I'm going to like figure out what I want instead of just running, running, running," you actually said, "Okay, I want this, this, and this to happen in my life." And then you realized, okay, in order to get to A to B to C to D, I have to actually create, I call them bumpers,
Mhm.
so that I am not going off my path, right?
Yeah.
And those are your boundaries. Your
Mhm.
bumpers are your boundaries. And so you had to disappoint people. There were people that you were disappointed and you
Mhm.
had to say no to. There were situations that, you had to leave
Mhm.
and, like your career and things like that. So I'm just really proud of you because you did
Thanks.
do that and I'm seeing you grow in those areas, and I think for a lot of women it's so hard for us because we want to be everything to everybody
Mhm.
all the time.
Yep.
And we feel that pressure to do that, and I think it's so important for us to take a step back and say, "Wait a minute, what do I want? How am I going to get it?
Mhm.
And what things align in my life that actually make me feel good and are going to help me get there, and what things don't?" And those
Mhm.
things that don't, it's time to say bye-bye. It's
Bye-bye.
time to say bye-bye and to protect your peace.
Yes.
Yeah.
I completely, completely agree. And actually, in one area that I know a lot of women struggle with this is actually in dating.
Mhm.
I think I didn't wake up personally in dating, gosh, until I was like, wow, this person sucks. This person sucks. And, honestly, it was just because they're young guys.
Yeah.
Um, however, I met Johnny when he was like 19. And at that time, I had actually been like, oh, I want to set some boundaries because I don't like it when a man doesn't open the door for me. I don't like it when they talk to me a certain way. I don't like it when they tell me I have to be a nurse or a teacher. Like, no, I can be whatever I want.
Yeah.
So I like didn't, there's certain things I was like, why am I listening to these fools? And so, but that required me setting boundaries. So when I meet a person, before I met Johnny, obviously, I needed to actually set a boundary like, do I like this? Do I not like this? Or when I go on a date, is it just a coffee date? I don't need to go on a full dinner date, right?
Yeah.
Um, those are certain things that, and even with Johnny, I will be honest, I did say it was a practice date because I was like, I don't know, I'm not sure about him, right? And I
Yes.
was, I was very unsure about him,
I remember.
and but he ended up blowing me out of the water where I was like, "What? You're not, like, embarrassed to dance with me on the pier in front of all these people? You're not allowed to, like, be a nerd and run into the water and have fun?" Like, he actually just was able to be himself. And then I was able to bring down some boundaries where I was like, "Okay, I'll go on another date."
Yeah.
Right?
I think one of the best things that we had talked about was about being direct, telling people what you want. And I think that's a way to um, get boundaries in, and is to you have to communicate. You have to communicate what it is you want and what it is you don't want,
Mhm.
what it is you like and what it is you won't tolerate. And that comes to any area of your life, but I think especially in dating, it's okay to be vocal and say, "You know what? That makes me uncomfortable,"
Mhm.
or "Could you please do this for me?" And a person that's in a healthy mind space is going to be open to hearing you and having a conversation about it.
100%.
A
Yes.
person that's not is going to gaslight you or throw a fit or whatever else, maybe not talk to you, ghost you. And so that way you're actually setting up bumpers along your dating path in order to keep yourself on in a healthy place and get together with a partner that aligns with your core values and, has similar core values and has similar ideals and things that you guys both want.
Exactly, and communication is key to all of this.
Yes.
I like that you brought up communication because when you think about boundaries, a lot of people think it's just like you have to just tell people no, 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 no. That's not the case
Mhm.
at all.
No.
Putting boundaries could be just saying, "Hey, I can't do 7 p.m., but I can do 5 p.m. tomorrow."
Yeah.
It could be, "Hey, I really, really would love to go to the bars and hang out with you gals, but I'm trying to lose weight right now and I'm not drinking. So, but hey, I'll totally go have fun and call me, I'll be the DD."
Yeah.
Right? It doesn't need to be this whole no stern, I'm going to be done. No, you could actually like be kind and still have fun.
Yeah.
It's just, where are my goals? Where do I need to set boundaries? And then just communicating them with kindness, but also like be direct so that people know, hey, this is what she's trying to achieve. And also, boundaries don't need to be forever. Sometimes they're temporary and sometimes they're forever, you know? And I think as your values change and as you grow in life, your boundaries will change and the way you communicate them will need to change.
Mhm.
Because when you have kids, you may need to communicate that differently because there's going to be boundaries that your family need to set up that your kids need to understand. And you're going to need to make that clear in a way that they're going to understand it, right?
Oh, absolutely. It's good to be flexible. It's good to recognize when you can be flexible and when you need to be rigid. And I think that there's seasons in life where we need to be rigid with something. Maybe you're trying to pay off debt. And so you're
Mhm.
like, "Girl, I can't go out. I can't do anything. I've got my eyes on the prize. I want to get out of debt. But I'll go for a walk with you. That's free." There's ways to be flexible within your boundaries. And then sometimes you need to be rigid. Sometimes you do need to say, "No, I'm sorry, absolutely not. That's
Yeah.
just not what's going to happen today." So I just actually, one of my friends invited me to go to, it was a networking thing for her, but she didn't want to go alone, but it was to a bar and it was on a Thursday night. And I like to get up really, really early in the morning to like do my devotionals and then I go work out and I have this program and I'm really trying to reach a goal. I have my eye on the prize and I'm trying to reach this goal. And so I had just spent the evening with her the night before and I just told her, I said, "I'm not going to go. That doesn't really align with what I want to do." And so when I was talking to another girlfriend, I had mentioned I'd been invited and she kept saying, "Just go. It's fine. Go. You deserve to have fun." And you need to be careful of that as well, is the outside pressure to step outside of your boundaries and the things that you want to do, because people that they're well meaning, but their goals are not your goals and your goals are not their goals. And what
Mhm.
they see as maybe a flexible moment for you may not be a flexible moment for you. And
Yeah.
so even though you hear them saying, like, "Yeah, girl, it's fine," make sure that you communicate and say, "No, that doesn't align with what I want to do. I really have a goal in mind." And you can say it nicely and just
Mhm.
be polite. But yeah, I think it's important.
Yeah, actually, when you're talking, I was thinking using I statements
Yeah.
is very important because, you know, people do, they come with their own perspective and it's genuinely from their heart. They're like, go have fun,
Yeah.
right?
Yes. No.
It's
Yeah.
from their heart, they mean good.
Mhm.
However, you know, like you said, you have different goals. You have different values, and that's going to change in life. And it's okay to say, "Hey, next time," or "No, not right now." And use the, "Hey,
Yes.
I am trying to get to, I am," to use the I statements to really be clear with people that, "Hey, that may be good for you right now, but I am trying to get somewhere."
Yeah.
And then that allows people to understand and then look at you and say, "Oh my gosh, I'm gonna support you in that,"
Yeah.
right?
100%.
Like, I have a girlfriend who is, she is very, very, very disciplined. She is also probably one of the most boundary-centered person I know. Um,
Totally.
and she is a very hard worker. She has business, and she's coming out with a new product right now. And she kinda has been MIA with some of her stuff, and she's had some family issues. She's been working really hard to on something for her, career, and I respect her so much because she does such a good job saying, "Hey, I'll get together, I have this at 9 a.m., but I can't do tonight because I really have to study." Or, "Hey, I can't do tonight, I have this meeting." And she does a very good job of saying, like, communicating her boundaries without saying, "No, I'm never gonna see it." Like, "I still miss girl night. I still miss this," right? It's very, very, uh, amazing the way she does it and communicates because she still makes time to be a person, outside of her goals, outside of her boundaries, which brings us to the next point of don't girl boss too hard.
Yeah. I was just thinking when you're talking, I'm like, she's good with the follow-up.
Yep.
She makes sure to say, "These are my boundaries. This is my schedule. This is what I'm doing. But in 2 weeks on Friday at 2 o'clock, are you available?"
Yep.
She's good with the follow-up, and I think that's so important. I think
Mhm.
so important.
Especially as you become more busy, I've
Yeah.
noticed in friendships in general, as I've gotten older, right? You're not like with each other all the time. You
Mhm.
know, even in your early 20s, you're like going to the bars, right? Or you're in college and you're like studying together, you're going to dinner together, your lunches together. You don't get that anymore because life gets busy. People are in different seasons of their life, whether it's career building, whether it's dating, whether it's building a family. And the schedules are all over the place. So to really keep in mind, like, hey, okay, I'm not going to girl boss too hard in any area. Maybe it could even be mom and make sure, hey, I'm going to make sure to follow up with my friends. I'm
Yeah.
going to make sure to schedule that girls' night in April on Wednesday.
Yeah.
What a date, whatever it is. Like it could be 4 months from now. You never know. Um, but we are meant to be in a community that's going to help support us. And even when she's telling me about it, we hung out. I was like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so excited for you," and all the different things that she's succeeding in. But I was able to do that because we still communicate. We still are in touch, even though there's certain boundaries that are set up.
Yeah. We weren't meant to do life alone.
No.
That's just the bottom line. And so it is important to make sure that even though you have your boundaries, you have your goals, you have your eyes on the prize, that you make sure you to follow up with, well, how else can I work maybe this person into my life and make sure you're still being with your community and
Hmm.
creating community
Yep.
and being there for the people that you love. And so I totally agree with that. Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Because too much rigid likeness is going to create isolation.
yeah.
And you don't want to isolate yourself, especially because we need people because they give ideas, maybe they give support, maybe they tell you things that you're never going to think of and give you new perspectives, and also just be there to hold you if you have a sad moment in your life.
I think that's so important, especially for mamas, especially
Mm.
new mamas. We tend to get in a routine and in a flow. And then when, someone asks us to do something and it doesn't fit into baby's schedule, we tend to isolate ourselves and then we find ourselves sad. And so, it's good to be flexible I'm not saying all the time, like, yes, baby, if you've got a good schedule going on, I get it. Baby needs a
Mhm.
schedule. I've had 3 of you. But it's very important to be around a community of people that can support you and can understand what you're going through and pat you on the back, high five
Yeah.
you, whatever it is you need in that moment. It's so important to make sure you have that.
And one more thing that a business mentor of me taught. She said, "You can have such rigid goals. You could have such rigid boundaries, but spontaneity keeps life interesting."
Mhm.
And so she said, "You want to say yes to things because business is supposed to be boring. Um, Even a family can be boring at times because you're doing the same thing over and over, over and over again with your children, that you need that spontaneity. And that could be simple things. That could be like, hey, we're going to break it up this week and I'm going to take the kids and go to the park and meet my girlfriend and she can bring me coffee, right? Or I'll bring the coffees, whatever it is. Or if you're a career driven woman, it could be just taking a pause and on a random Tuesday at 3 p.m. instead of working until 5, you say, you know what? I'm gonna go play some pickleball with some friends because
Your
spontaneity is
your
necessary.
new adventure in life right now.
I know, I actually was good at it, surprisingly.
I have
Johnny made fun of me because I have no hand-eye coordination, he says.
and you were really good.
I know, and then he got mad.
I have yet to play pickleball. I know it's all the, like, rage, so anyways.
But and just to clarify, Johnny didn't get mad, he's just very competitive.
Yes.
So, if I could beat him at something, he's like, "What?"
Yeah. You know what I like about
Which is good
pickleball?
because he's a baseball player.
They have cute outfits
I
and cute
know.
little
They can
rackets.
still wear the cute little golf skirt.
Oh my gosh, it's so cute.
It's so cute.
So that just itself makes me wanna try pickleball, but that has nothing to do with our boundaries or anything we're talking about, but
Well, back to
yeah,
boundaries. Um, yeah, don't girl boss too hard. Yeah,
yeah,
make sure you are in community, create spontaneity, go on the trips,
yeah.
go on the wine tour. Um, do what makes you happy.
And I feel like if something's making you uncomfortable, if someone keeps doing something that really bothers you and crosses the line that doesn't align with your core values, make sure to be okay to protect your peace. It's
Mm,
okay to do that. And I can't emphasize that enough. Protect your peace because you are the one that has to deal with the hurt, deal
yep.
with the anger, deal with the frustration or anxiety maybe that that person is causing, and they don't even know it because you did not be clear about what your boundaries were. So don't be afraid to speak up. I think
Mm.
that is such an important thing.
So good because I've been in so many different areas of my life where I didn't speak up, from dating to career to this. And as someone who does speak up genuinely a lot,
Like a lot.
um, it gets to you and you get stuck and then you realize you put yourself on the back burner and
Yeah,
then you look up and you're like, where's my
yeah,
life? Where did it go? Because
yeah.
you were so worried about everyone else around you and making them happy.
Yeah, growing up, I was the person that was the peacekeeper
Mm,
instead of protecting my peace. So I was always worried about everybody else. And it was okay if my feelings got hurt or someone was causing me anxiety or whatever it might be. And I wasn't protecting my peace, but I was making sure that everyone else was
mm.
at peace.
Yeah.
And then I finally learned, wait a minute, my peace matters. My peace of mind matters. And so that's when I started discovering boundaries.
Yes, I love it. That's so good. Yeah, for me, I'm I'm not a peacemaker. If you were to take what is that thing that we took?
Oh my gosh, you are so not a peacemaker.
Um,
You
I was a challenger.
an
But what are the
Enneag
numbers?
was it Enneagrams? That's what they are.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm a challenger, which is really funny talking about
And
boundaries.
I'm a peacekeeper naturally by
Honestly, I
nature.
challenge people's boundaries. But I have been in the place where the same thing, where I'm worried about everyone else and
Mhm.
not taking care of me. And as someone who's not a peacemaker, I would be more of like constantly challenging people and constantly chasing after their dreams and feeding them instead of feeding myself. So I was like, you can do it, you can do it, you can do it, right?
Yeah.
Instead of taking a look in the mirror and going, wait, what do I want?
You were being a fixer.
Yes,
You're a fixer
I
by
am a
nature.
fixer
Yeah.
100%. And so for those girls who are fixers, don't forget to take a look at yourself and say, wait a second. I know I'm fixing everyone else here, but how do I fix me?
Yeah. Totally. And for you that are peacekeepers and that want to make everybody happy and keep the peace, you don't want to rock the boat, just take a step back and say, hey, who's worried about my peace? And make
Yeah.
sure that you're protecting your peace because your peace is just as important as their peace.
That is true. That is true. Okay, well, that is it for this week, you guys. We have a new episode every Monday. I know it's Tuesday today, but we had a couple of technical glitches
Yes.
recently and had to revamp our studio. So we're back every Monday. Um, We love hanging out with you guys. Don't forget to send us a DM on Instagram.
And if you liked this, share it with a friend and like and subscribe, please.
Yes, to our YouTube channel, and or even leave us a review on Spotify, Apple, wherever you listen to this amazing podcast.
Thanks, guys.
And don't forget, you're never alone. You can always call your mom.